The Toronto Raptors might never lose again. I mean, this has just been quite the turnaround from this team. They've won 4 in a row. They've won 6 of their last 7. They have a winning month of January. They're 7-6 in the month. And they're coming off another nice win over the New Orleans Pelicans. The Raptors defense, it went from being historically bad to now one of the top defenses in the NBA over their latest stretch of games. In this one, I thought their defense was really good in that first half. Second half, especially in that third quarter, I thought the Raptors defense let up and the Raptors offense just went ice cold. The reason why this was even somewhat of a game in the fourth, but credit to the Raptors, they really just closed the door on any potential Pelicans comeback. They were not going to lose this game. And you look at the Raptors, I mean, they continue to get dynamic play from Scottie Barnes. He just won the Eastern Conference Player of the Week for the Raptors, going 3-0 last week, and deservingly so. I mean, he has been awesome. And Barnes, again, was awesome in this one. This is some of the best basketball we have seen from Barnes over this stretch. His two-way play continues to be standout. 21 points, 8 assists, 11 rebounds. And the biggest takeaway that I have watching Scottie is he just seems locked in. He seems like a guy who wants to win. And he's going to give his team his all in hopes of making that happen. He's been very aggressive. He's been active. He's been vocal. He's been very invested. And Scottie Barnes has just been very good for this team. There's no other way to put it. And, you know, his dynamic dual partnership all of a sudden with RJ Barrett, like those guys have proven that they are clicking with each other well. Like, they complement each other nicely. And Barrett had 17 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. And Jakob Poeltl was huge in this one. You know, 21 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. Not too bad for a guy who was questionable to play in this one with a back issue. So Poeltl does suit up, and he ends up making a big difference for this Raptors squad. Grady had 10 in 19 minutes. And aside from the defense, the other main takeaway during this Raptors turnaround has been their bench play. Like, their bench has been awesome. Like, this was a team that was getting virtually no production from their bench, and they are getting solid production, it seems, game to game from their bench. You know, whether it's Shed, Bruce Brown, Olynyk, who didn't play, he was out in this one. You know, Abaji's now back. And really, the biggest story and the most valuable player of the bench has been Chris Boucher. And it's crazy how Boucher has turned things around individually, because you got to go back to that Knicks game where he got garbage time minutes. Who would have thought those garbage time minutes would fuel one of the best Chris Boucher stretches of his Raptors tenure? It's up there. I mean, this has just been unbelievable from Boucher. 14 points in 18 minutes. The way that he's rebounding the ball, coming up with timely buckets, you know, had a couple of key makes in this one. And it's such a huge advantage when not only are you playing better defensively, you're getting solid play from your big-time players, but then you got a bench to count on. So you look at the Raptors in this one, I mean, they look good once again. You know, they didn't shoot the ball well from 3, but it didn't hurt them because they limited the Pelicans to just 21% from downtown. They out-rebounded the Pelicans. Again, the Raptors racking 30-plus assists. And this is a team in the Toronto Raptors that they are all of a sudden just winning. And they show no signs of slowing down. And it really is crazy how things have played out for this basketball team, guys. To put it simply, like, this Raptors team, they might be too good to tank right now. And I took to X to say this. I think the only way the Raptors salvage this tank with how things are trending up for this team is they got to offload some of these bench pieces who continue to be big for them. You know, Boucher, Brown, Olynyk. But then even then, with how well Barnes is playing and how locked in he is, how solid Barrett has been overall, with a healthy Poeltl, can you honestly see this Raptors team now being awful the rest of the way? When they have one of the more favorable schedules, I know they got a rough patch coming up, but then look towards the end of the schedule, it looks to be a cakewalk. So I'm mentally preparing myself, guys, because I think for as much as I want to see this team bottom out and get a top pick, I think it is going to be tough just given where this team is at. And these are young players. So, us as fans, myself as a fan, you want to see this team tank. But when you got a young, hungry group like this Raptors team, it's tough to ask them to go out there and not put their best foot forward. So, of course, the Raptors, if they offload some big bench pieces at the deadline, it's going to make them worse. But it comes back to Barnes. As long as Barnes is out there healthy, playing as elite as he's been on both sides of the ball, like, this team's going to have a chance to, win some games. They're not going to be terrible like some of these other bottom teams right now. The Nets lost again, so they just passed the Raptors in the reverse standings. So it's kind of crazy how things have come to this point. Because another thing that I noticed, which is just unbelievable, is how the Raptors got here. Like, you look at what happened with this team, right? They had lost 5 games in a row. Emmanuel Quickley goes down with injury once again. I'm thinking, that's it. This team's toast. They're going to bottom out, and it's going to be easy for this team to maintain a bad record and get a top pick. But then they end up winning 6 of their next 7 without their lead point guard, which makes this even more impressive in itself. And, you can get into it, and maybe I'll save it for another video. I'm not trying to stir the pot here or anything, but it is crazy to me that the Raptors, they have played their best ball, and they're now 6-1 without Emmanuel Quickley. I think you got to credit Davion Mitchell. You really do. And we see it. The defense has gotten significantly better because now all of a sudden you got Davion in the mix, whereas before you had Quickley, Dick, and Barrett. And that is a defensive liability when you have those guys on the court at the same time in itself. But because you have Davion now, who is defense first, it's provided so much more balance for this team where then you can focus on, Barnes and Barrett leading the way offensively. So all I'm going to say is this. It's not a good look for Emmanuel Quickley that this team has been playing the best ball and he hasn't been able to stay healthy on the court. We'll see what happens once he's back into the mix. But going back to the whole, this team is too good to tank, I think that's where they find themselves now. And look, I've been vocal and I'll continue to be vocal about where I see this team and what I think the best foot forward is for this team. And I'll say it again, if this team ends up fumbling this, which it looks like they are, like they did the Wemby draft, I think it's a big setback because, don't even take my words for it. Masai Ujiri said it himself, playing for what? If the Raptors end up winning and making the play-in and they go one and done, what could have been if they just lost more and got themselves a top pick? But at the same time, it's hard to ask this young, hungry team to go out there and not give it their all. So we'll see what happens at the deadline once this team depletes that bench. If they even deplete the bench, you would think they're going to be sellers at this point if that changes things. But tank aside, it's been impressive to watch this team click the way that they have. Next couple of games coming up, who do they have next? The Wizards and then the Bulls. So if the Raptors win those games, and by the way, the Bulls have that final play-in spot. I think the Raptors are 5.5 games back of the play-in. If the Raptors win out here and they beat the Bulls, man, that is going to pretty much suggest at that point that the Raptors might be heading in another different direction in terms of going for the play-in. But let me know your thoughts, guys, from this latest Raptors win. Drop a comment down below. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. That's it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.